Welcome to Nightmare Echoes. Listen, scream, and embrace your horror obsession. In today's episode, we cover Maximum Overdrive. Does this film follow its own rules? Which vehicles were our favorites? And out of all the amazing Stephen King movies out there, how do we cover this one first? Next week on the podcast is A Dark Song. But until then, a movie that will have you asking, who made who? Hello everybody and welcome back to Nightmare Echoes. I'm your host Elzar. I'm joined again by co-host Steven. Steven, how's it going?
Hey, how's it going? I'm excited about this movie, one that I had suggested to talk about with you.
Yeah, I might have sighed a little bit like...
Yeah, but you know, my son, he's getting older and he likes 80s rock and he's into AC/DC and 70s, 80s rock. And they did a soundtrack for a movie called Maximum Overdrive. It was directed by Stephen King.
Yeah, his
famous author.
Only directorial because he knows that is not his forte. He's good at writing stories.
And I don't know if this was a rumor, if this really happened, but supposedly he was high on coke during most of this direction, and so were the the cast. So
yeah, in a 2002 interview with Tony Magistrel, I probably said that wrong, for the book Hollywood, Stephen King, first-time director, stated that he was coked out of his mind all through this production and really didn't know what he was doing.
But some fans are saying, we want Stephen King coked up and making more movies like this.
I mean, he doesn't remember ever writing Cujo because he was on coke the whole time. We got a great book out of it. But I'm glad he doesn't do drugs anymore. I'm glad he's still around. There are other people, other artists that I've enjoyed listening to, whether it's music, books, or in film, and they've been up and down with drugs. It's said that when they're on drugs, they're not at their 100%. So I can only imagine that Stephen King could have probably done better, but we did like this. I thought it was bizarre that the one song that got us into this movie was Who Made Who. Yeah, right before this movie.
And during virtual learning and everything, we talked about how mom and dad had to help teach, and Who Made Who is not correct grammar. So that, and
made whom?
before I got into this was sort of the discussion with my son.
How they speak in Australia, man.
But I love the song. I love the AC/DC soundtrack, and what a bizarre semi-truck horror movie this is.
Yeah, I do want to say that I love Stephen King and have read, I want to say, all but maybe 3 of his novels and a huge amount of his short stories. My favorites are obviously The Dark Tower. I've read through it 3 times now, probably once a decade. I'll pick up The Dark Tower and go through them all again. And I love them a lot. And what I love about his works, for fans that may not read them, is that I would say that 80% of his works are in some way connected back to The Dark Tower. So if you're reading The Stand, and then you go read The Dark Tower Book 4, you'll realize that the characters are reading a newspaper about the events that are happening in The Stand. That's just one little example. But every property that you go and read is somehow connected to The Dark Tower, and I just love that the more I read him, the more I understand this vast universe that he's somehow created, because his brain is amazing, and how he connects them all is unreal to me, and I love it. But for the first Stephen King movie we're going to cover, I did not imagine it would be Maximum Overdrive, but that's fine. I'm going to have fun with it because it's silly and ridiculous.
Well, thank you so much for doing Maximum Overdrive,
obviously,
and talking about it.
Written and directed by Stephen King, came out in 1986, starred Emilio Estevez as Bill Robinson. I love him from Young Guns 1 and 2. Growing up, I love those movies. I still have them on DVD. Men at Work was a great one with his brother Charlie Sheen, where they're garbage men, and it's one crazy day where they get mixed up in this whole scheme where they have a dead body. They have the supervisor that's watching them, and they're trying to hide the fact that they have this dead body. For, I guess, maybe horror, maybe thriller, depending on how you look at it. There's a movie called Judgment Night, where Dennis Leary, the comedian, is the head of a gang. He kills someone. They happen to have taken a wrong turn off of the highway to try to get a shortcut to some sporting event, and they see it. So Dennis Leary's character tells them to go kill all those people, and Emilio Estevez is one of them. Cuba Gooding Jr. is another one. Judgment Night is great. And then Free Jack. For cheesy 90s sci-fi, Free Jack is it. If you're looking for a fun movie to watch, it's got Rolling Stones' Mick Jagger as one of the henchmen for the main villain, who is chasing Emilio Estevez's character in a future he was not born in. It's crazy, and I love it. But anyway, it's also got Pat Hingle, who plays Hendershot, who's Emilio Estevez's boss and a complete asshole in this movie. I know him as Commissioner Gordon in the Batman movies from the 80s and 90s. We have Lauren Harrington as Brett, which is a girl's name in this movie. So to confuse anybody, as I say Brett, just so you know, it's a name of a woman in this movie. Then we have Yardley Smith as Connie. She's the voice of Lisa Simpson. She was also in The Legend of Billie Jean, but obviously most people know her as Lisa Simpson. This was before The Simpsons came out, not too much before.
So Emilio Estevez is playing this guy who's on parole. And one of the things I wanted to say that was sort of always going in the background in my head, even since the first horror movie that I've watched, I'm always trying to predict who is going to be the people who die in the movie and who will be the people who might survive through to the end.
Sure.
And so I immediately see this guy who's sort of a bad boy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, he's probably not going to die.
Right. Another infamous thing about this movie is that there is a scene with a lawnmower, and there are claims that people on the set asked Stephen King to take the blades out of the lawnmower, but Stephen King wanted to leave them in for authenticity, even though people claim you can't see the blades when the lawnmower is going, and you can add the sound effects of the blades later. Unfortunately, a rock or a splinter of wood got hit by one of the blades, shot out, and hit one of the crew in the eye, making the person lose his eye. And so...
Real horror from...
Right. So
wow.
He was flown into a hospital, but he claims that he was denied jobs because his job as someone that's supposed to look through the camera and look at shots and how well they're done, no one wanted to hire a man to do that who had no depth perception. So it hurt his future in his career, which is unfortunate.
But at least he was still around, you know?
Yeah, he didn't die.
Much worse.
Right.
It could have been like rust
exactly.
or something like that, which was really sad.
All right. So the movie starts with a very cheap-looking shot of Earth, and then the following words come down on the screen in yellow. On June 19th, 1987, at 9:47 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, the Earth passed into an extraordinary diffuse tail of Rhea M, a rogue comet. According to astronaut calculations, the planet would remain in the tail of the comet for the next 8 days, 5 hours, 29 minutes, and 23 seconds. Apparently, the image of the Earth is reversed in the shot. So if you look back, that's not Earth. That's a mirror universe Earth where everything's backward. Then we get a card telling us that we're in Wilmington, North Carolina, and we see a shot of a bank prompt. The image on the prompt says, "Fuck you." And a cameo right there by Stephen King, getting money out of the ATM. He inserts his card, and the machine calls him an asshole. Then we get the title, Maximum Overdrive, while ACDC's Who Made Who plays.
So something is going on with these machines already.
Yeah.
You can see something's going on with those computers. So that's sort of interesting how they set it directly from the beginning. There's not a slow build up here. You're like, something's going on. Things are screwed up from this comet.
Yeah, it's like, sweetie, the machine called me an asshole. We see two people in charge of this bridge playing with a deck of cards, all made out of naked women. The controls to the bridge start moving on their own. They go up. A van with AC/DC on it on the bridge is not the actual band members in the movie. Is lifted up. A bunch of cars are lifted up. They're starting to slide down because there's cars on this bridge and it's not supposed to lift up while there's cars on it.
It is interesting to see how the people reacted because it's sort of what you would expect from people in the city and traffic, not necessarily using their logical parts of the brain, but just emotionally like, hey, move it, bonk, honk. And like, I'm going to do something stupid, try to drive over this bridge that's coming up. But yeah, it definitely sets the picture that stuff's going on with not only the computer systems and the banking systems, but the machines and other things are malfunctioning.
Yeah. All right, and then we get to see our iconic 18-wheeler with a massive Green Goblin face on the front of it, driving down the road. On one side, it reads Happy Toys, and the truck pulls into the Dixie Boy truck stop. The driver of the truck is Handy, played by Frankie Fashion, and he's the landlord in Coming to America with Eddie Murphy. And I see that the price of diesel back then was $1.08. Inside the restaurant, Wanda June is complaining that the radio isn't working. Bill Robinson, who's played by Emilio Estevez, is in the back cooking when Hendershot tells him he needs to talk to him. He's telling him he's got food on the grill, but Hendershot doesn't care. Giancarlo Esposito, which I love in everything, right? I mean, he's in The Boys, he's in The Mandalorian, he's in Abigail, he was in Maxine. I mean, he's in a lot of things. But here, he's just some unknown named guy. He's credited as a video player who's in the arcade room. When a pinball machine breaks on him, the change machine starts shooting out all this money.
He gets all excited.
Yeah, the cigarettes start shooting out all these packs. He starts fitting as many as he can into his pocket because he's going to make money off of this.
I probably would have done something similar, but I would have been asking the question of what is going on with these machines.
Exactly. Outside, Duncan is filling up the Green Goblin truck. When the pump stops working, he's trying to fix it. Gas sprays in his eyes, causing him pain.
Now wait here. Hold on.
Yeah?
Why would he look
I don't
straight
know.
down
That's what I'm saying.
the dispenser for the fuel?
Because it's a stupid movie.
Ah, gosh.
Right. Yeah. He looks in and it starts spraying in his eyes. That's stupid. That's as bad as like looking at a nail gun. Why doesn't this work? Because what probably happened with the nail gun is someone tripped on the cord and it unplugged itself. So if you turn it to look at yourself, when someone plugs it in, it's going to shoot at your face.
Mm-hmm.
Don't do that. His coworkers take him inside to treat him, and they lay him down next to a wall full of pinup girls. This is where Hendershot's talking to Bill, and he's basically an asshole that's taking advantage of him. He wants him to clock out after 8 hours of work, but stay and work the extra hour. Bill says that's bullshit. He shouldn't have to work for free, and he says that Bill is on parole, and all he has to do is call his parole officer, make up crap about him, and he'll get put back in jail. So he's unfortunately got him by the balls, right? He could take advantage of people, and apparently Emilio Estevez finds out in a little bit that everybody that Hendershot employs, or a lot of people, are people on parole, so he can take advantage of all of them because he's a real jackass.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, I didn't like his character. He was very arrogant. He didn't really care at all about other people's feelings. He was unsympathetic, and it comes out more and more during the movie when Henderson is interacting with people. And this is the part where I was like, oh, Emilio Estevez, he's a guy out on parole. He's probably not going to die. That was just in the back of my mind. Like,
sure.
He's a bad boy. He's probably going to survive this movie.
Right. We see a newspaper called The Morning Star, which says that the comet arrives and millions watch fascinated. We see a meat carver turns on by itself and starts to cut Wanda June in the arm. She screams, and everyone wants to know what's going on. It turns on again and goes for her foot. They have to get her out of there. Bill comes over with a hammer, smashes the thing.
That was crazy. That was pretty bloody too.
Yeah.
Watching that malfunction. One other thing that I noticed was that not all of the machines are malfunctioning, just certain ones. It's
you're
really
right.
Weird. It sort of bothered me throughout the movie,
Yep.
and I'll probably point it out more later. But
let's point it out. I mean, it's some of the things that shouldn't work, right? Like a bicycle malfunctions on one kid. There's nothing electronic about a bicycle. And then the sprinklers that just operate on water from a hose turn themselves on and point in certain directions to taunt the kid. That doesn't work either. So, yeah, it doesn't make sense what electronics work, things that aren't electronics.
Or mechanical devices. Some mechanical devices are working just fine. Some of them are sort of possessed and moving around and doing things on their own.
But then some things that wouldn't be classified as that type of device seem to be affected too.
But maybe it's just a pet peeve. But it also made for a good movie because you don't know what's going to malfunction and when.
Sure.
Right?
Okay.
There's the knife attacking somebody at the truck stop.
Back with Giancarlo Esposito. His clothes are now stuffed with everything he can fit. Then this video game called Star Castle calls to him. And when he touches the machine, it starts to electrocute him, throws him backwards, and he is killed. Emilio Estevez and others run in to see what happened. Then we cut to kids playing baseball, and this is an infamous scene. The red team wins. The coach declares he's buying them all soda, because that's what parents love, when you buy their kids soda. And at the machine, it eats his money, and then starts shooting out cans fast enough to kill him. It also kills other players in the field. It hits two other people. The catcher, Deke Keller, who is the son of the guy who got gasoline in his eyes.
Now, we don't find that out right away, though. But
sure.
I was going to say, did he score a run here, too?
Maybe.
I think he was the guy who scored the run.
Won, yeah.
But I was thinking that this boy that scored the run, he's probably going to die. He's a good guy.
Well, so he's smart enough to put the catcher's equipment on to not get hurt by the cans. And then another kid who's riding a bike, and this is where it happened. The bike malfunctions and shoots him off. It doesn't make any sense. A steamroller bursts through the fence and runs him over. Deke is able to ride out his bike in safety.
But the other kid's bike malfunctioned.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking
That's
about.
so weird.
Yeah. We cut to Camp Lorman, played by Christopher Murney, who was in Barry Gordon's The Last Dragon. He was the... Did you ever see that one?
No, I haven't.
That is
of
a
course.
classic
It's like one of the ones
movie. It's like...
I'll make note of that.
Yeah. This guy, he wants to become this master, and he gets sent on a quest to go through all of New York to find this master. It's amazing. It's funny. It's got great action. But this guy plays the main bad guy who hires a bunch of villains to try to take out Bruce Leroy, the main character. Anyways, that guy's driving. He's driving around Brett. That's the woman named Brett, who's a hitchhiker. And he's really touchy-feely, and she is like, don't touch me. They get to the station, and he claims that she has bad manners because, I don't know, she wasn't okay with him touching her.
Now, I don't know what was socially acceptable then, but I would think at any time, that's probably something that if a woman's saying, no, get off of me, you need to listen. One of the things I noticed when they were in the car is the radio stopped working and was malfunctioning.
Yeah.
That's always a bad sign. I can't
It
think
is.
of the other horror movies in the top of my head.
World of the Worlds.
Night of the Living Dead.
Yeah.
And this is always a bad omen in horror movies when the radio is malfunctioning. Then an announcer comes on, reports to stay off the highway.
Yeah. Then we cut to newlyweds Curtis and Connie driving. They're in need of gas. As they pass railroad tracks, the light flickers, but there's no sound. The arms don't come down.
The zombie cars got me. Like, there were these junk cars up on the side of the road, and the headlights were just flashing. It was so bizarre. And the other thing that was going on with those train signal lights were obviously malfunctioning and flashing, and there was no train.
I was worried they were going to get hit. You know, like,
From a train.
Yeah,
I had that same feeling, like, okay, is it
because
going
we
to
just watched VHS.
come down? Are the rail's going to come down? Yeah. Very true.
Yeah. So they pull into this gas station, but they see that the gas attendant is dead. Then a tow truck comes to life. Curtis tries to flag it down, but then it turns to aim for him. Connie yells that she doesn't like it, and he's able to jump out of the way.
And Curtis is sort of, I don't know if he's just naive or what, but he went up to the guy and he's like, "Are you dead?" Like, it reminded me of Cool Runnings. Are you dead, man? Are you dead, man? But yeah, I thought that he just gives this impression of not really knowing what's going on, not having much experience out in the world, and so yeah, now there's this tow truck coming.
Right. So he's able to get in, and Connie's able to drive off. He yells for her to go the other way. Then we come back to Hendershot, who's telling one of his employees, Joe, to move Giancarlo Esposito's body somewhere for hiding. Bill's outside with the keys trying to figure out what happened with the goblin. Inside, there's a toy of a jacket box in the Green Goblin, which pops out. And this might have been intended as a jump scare, but it was a really bad one.
So he's investigating this Green Goblin truck. At some point, I noticed there's a picture of a clown on the side, and I was thinking, is that a reference to Pennywise, maybe?
It could be. So as Bill's inspecting the outside of the truck, it starts to turn on again. It even adjusts the mirror so that it can see Bill, but it's really so we can see Bill. How is the truck? Are its eyes the mirrors? Because I thought its eyes were the face. But it could also see out of the mirrors. I don't know.
It doesn't need eyes. It's got a sixth sense.
Yeah. All right, Deke's on his bike, and he passes by some yards. These are where the sprinklers turn on around him. He seems to pass 5 dead bodies and 1 dog killed by a police car toy. Someone's killed by their own cassette player. 1 person was killed by a hairdryer, and 1 person by a car crash. On the next street, he hears the ice cream truck coming, and he's smart enough to race away before it saw him.
I love this ice cream truck.
Mm-hmm.
It's sort of like this predator that's on the hunt. And you see this ice cream truck covered with blood on the front fender just coming up. And it's playing music. And you're like, come to me. And then it attacks.
Right.
But yeah, you never really see it. It's just a creepy, ominous truck that's inviting. But it's obviously deadly.
So he hides. We get a shot of a lawnmower. Then he gets back on the mic and the lawnmower comes after him. Camp is trying to sell Wanda June and another man Bibles for $9.95 at the Dixie Boy Diner.
That was the guy who was riding with Brett.
Right,
and
he was the
coming on to
driving.
her.
Yeah.
He was a Bible salesman, and he was
Yeah.
he was the one trying to take advantage of the lady in the car.
But if you're selling something, he's got his mouth full of food, and he's talking while his mouth is full of food. I think that would just make me want to go away, because please don't talk to me. Duncan, who cannot see properly, wants to go out and find his son, Deke. This is where he finds out his son, Deke. Hendershot says if he leaves without clocking out, he'll never clock out again. Duncan is fine with that, and Hendershot tries to grab him, but Emilio Estevez stops him. So Emilio Estevez tells Hendershot that he'll knock out his teeth. Just then, one of the 18-wheelers starts up while Duncan is walking. He drops his keys. Emilio Estevez screams for him to look out, but he's hit by the truck and it kills him. And everyone runs inside for safety.
Duncan was just trying to get to his boy Deke, and it looks to me like Deke, who was going around on his bicycle, is also trying to get to his dad, be reunited. But yeah, there are so many crazy things going on. When the trucks are sort of starting up and going, at some point someone says, "They got no right to be running. They depoted." I thought that was a pretty funny quote.
That is pretty funny. And then this 18-wheeler sideswipes Camp's car and then dumps a load of trash on top of it. So Camp runs out, not understanding what's going on, cursing while he's doing so. Emilio Estevez tries to get him back inside, but he's targeted by the goblin, who does hit him, throwing him into a creek. For good measure, the goblin then runs over a suitcase,
Which has the Bibles in it.
Right.
So he ran over the Bibles. I didn't know if that was sort of a statement that Stephen King was trying to make, or just like,
I don't know.
you know, like, this is the end of the world. This could be the apocalypse. These trucks are crushing Bibles, but I don't know, maybe.
I think it was more to show that this Bible salesman was really an asshole.
Oh, yeah, that definitely.
It's supposed to be ironic, I think.
Yep. There is a bit of irony there. I thought it was interesting that the Green Goblin truck is sort of leading the other trucks, and they start circling like sharks too.
Yeah. Hendershot is trying to call for help over a radio. We get people covering the body. And then we have a scene where Brett is changing out of her jeans and into a dress. And there's a rumor online that someone in the production of this was not happy that their main love interest was in jeans. And we needed her in a more girly outfit. I don't know if that's true or not, but it did seem ridiculous that her reasoning for changing her jeans was that the Bible salesman touched her jeans, and therefore she doesn't want to wear them anymore. It just,
So she wants to look like more desirable.
maybe.
I would want to put off and get the guys away from me if I was just assaulted or
Right,
harassed by someone, but I don't know. I'm a guy.
Yeah.
Defensive.
We cut back to Curtis and Connie driving, and all these trucks are driving in the other direction. They pull off the road just in time to miss a truck going perpendicular to the road. Then Connie looks back to see the truck is coming after them, so they start to race to try to get out of the way.
Now, was this the Mack truck? I think it was the Mack truck.
Okay.
And this was one of my favorite trucks, too. I like the Green Goblin truck, but I did like the Mack truck. It had red lights on the front, like red eyes.
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty cool. Nicely done.
So Curtis is able to drive. As the truck drives off the road, the truck explodes, and we see a sign right next to them that says, "Dixie Boy Truck Stop 2 miles away."
At this point, I thought the scene, it was the Mack truck, and it had red lights on the front like red eyes. And at one point, before Curtis tricks the truck into driving off the road and exploding, I thought that maybe his wife should have been driving, because he's already sort of proven that he's not exactly the most street smart person, and they were having some trouble on the road there with these trucks that were all driving in a line. But then he did a really smart thing, though, when he tricked the truck into driving off the ledge and exploding.
Right. So Curtis says that everything's going to be okay, and then they see that there's other trucks driving around. Connie throws it in his face that he said everything was going to be okay. Curtis is not ready to give up. He sees an opening in the circle of truck and plans for the next time the opening is there to get on the other side. Inside, Wanda June notices the car outside is waiting to come in, and part of the group thinks they're dead already, but Emilio Estevez and Brett go outside to get ready to help them. As they gun it to go in, a truck does hit them and flip them over. Curtis is able to crawl out, and Connie screams because she is stuck. Emilio Estevez and Brett run up. Brett, pulling out a straight razor from her boot, uses it to cut Connie's seatbelt.
Bad girl. She's probably not going to die.
As they run, they see Hendershot is holding a rocket launcher, and they have to jump to the floor as he fires it.
Why is he shooting at the people? Like, this guy, like I said, I'm unsympathetic, arrogant. He doesn't care.
He doesn't wait for them to duck.
Yeah, he doesn't care about them too much. He just shoots it.
Interesting.
He hits the truck, though.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Interesting fact. We do see the rocket fire come out of the launcher, but as they duck, no rocket passes by them. We only see the truck explode. And I feel like I didn't notice it because my brain just made me think it really happened.
That's interesting.
But it's like it convinced me. I had to read this fact online and rewatch the scene to be like, oh my gosh.
It's not there.
It's not there. But I think it worked.
Yeah, that was nicely done because your brain kind of fills in the gap there. I don't know if that was Stephen King's doing or what, but wow, I didn't notice that. I'm going to have to rewatch it now.
Yeah. As another truck comes at them, Hendershot fires another shot. Curtis asks where Hendershot would have gotten all that, and Joe is ready to tell him all about how they have a bunch of that stuff in the back. But Hendershot tells Joe to shut up and says he just found it in his Christmas stocking, and they need to go and get inside safely.
Yeah, he pulled this rocket launcher out of where?
Then another truck comes and hits Curtis's and Connie's car more times just to be like, well, we'll get your car.
And the trucks are all circling now, like sharks, around the truck stop. I thought that was I don't know why they're targeting that one truck stop, but they're circling around it like sharks.
So Emilio Estevez and Brett are in another room, and he wants to know why she would be carrying a straight razor. And she says when she hitchhikes from Florida, you just need some kind of protection. Bill asks what she's doing. She says she was hitchhiking before the machines all went into maximum overdrive. Then she starts to cry because she is scared. Emilio Estevez comes over to ask if he could put his arm around her, if she would stick him. She explains that she doesn't really stick a person with a straight razor. You kind of have to slice them. But she does let him know that she wouldn't do that if he gave her a big hug. So he's a gentleman, even though he's a bad boy. We cut back to Deke, who's looking in the truck that's burning on the side of the road, the one that just lost the battle against Curtis. And then he notices a plane in the sky, which has no pilot on it, although he can't tell that. But he gets his bike and hides it in the grass.
Wise move. Stay away from those machines and mechanical devices.
Next, we have a scene where Emilio Estevez is asking Joe about whether the weapons Hendershot is hiding. And interesting is that there's all these farts here in the bathroom, and I think they were all added in post-production because it's just ridiculous. The character doesn't look like he's farting. He's just talking, and you're just hearing fartings. But I feel like you kind of have to pause and make your body fart.
Yeah,
but
what was that all about?
It was just stupid. They're like, you know what make this stupid movie stupider? We have a fart scene.
Oh, yeah.
That had to be what it was.
The boy loved it, though. He thought this was great.
But, yeah. Joe gives in and tells Emilio Estevez everything, though, about all the weapons. So we cut to Emilio Estevez and Brett back in the room full of weapons. Brett screams when she trips over a dead body of Giancarlo Esposito. Hendershot comes down accusing Emilio Estevez of trying to steal from him. Emilio Estevez is telling him he doesn't want to steal. He just wants to survive the events that are happening outside. Hendershot lets Brett know all about Emilio Estevez's criminal activity and threatens to call the cops. But Bill points out that they would be useless right now with everything that's happening. Because, how would they get there? In a cop car that may or may not go crazy? Because people arrive here in cars that are not going crazy. The radios are going crazy, but the cars are fine. But trucks are going crazy. It doesn't make sense.
And some of the junk cars were just flashing lights. You don't know what's going to work.
Some people in the neighborhood who were killed by their own car as Deke drove by them. So, yeah, we don't know which cars are going to mess up or not. I wonder if there's a difference between American-made and foreign.
Well, the VW in the neighborhood had killed someone.
Yeah, okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Eventually, Emilio Estevez grabs a gun to make Hendershot get the point. But when he goes, he says that this is all over, his ass is grass. Emilio Estevez explains to Brett what happened. Basically, he was young and stupid, and she tries to comfort him.
Henderson does have some interesting quotes, though.
Yeah?
Yeah. I don't know. At one point, I think it was Bill who was carrying a dead body, and he's like, he's dripping all over my floor. Get him out of here. Like, totally unsympathetic. Doesn't care.
Right. We see Deke finally made it to the truck stop and sees how difficult it would be to get in there just on his bike. He tries to go under the street in this pipe that he's found, but he has trouble pulling the grill that's placed on top of it. He can't get it off. Emilio Estevez and Brett seem to have found a bed, which I guess was made for truckers to rent and sleep for the night. Brett tells Emilio Estevez that he makes love like a hero.
There was a lot of flirting between the two of them before this happened.
Right.
There was build up to this moment. Yeah.
And this is where she thinks that the comet is causing all this craziness. She pointed out that it started about 12 hours ago when the tail of the comet had come in contact with Earth. And if that's what's causing it all, they only need to survive for 7 more days. Bill says that he has plans, and they discuss it while they eat. He says that if they get to a sailboat, they can go to an island called Haven, where there are no motor vehicles are allowed. And just a fun fact, in 2010, a show called Haven began airing based on Stephen King's book, The Colorado Kid, which came out in 2005. And Haven, in that reality, is a fictional town in Maine. But there's no way they were talking about Maine because they were, North Carolina here?
Yeah.
But yeah. Brett tells him that he isn't only a hero, he's a genius, and then they kiss some more. Although she has food in her mouth while they're doing it.
I feel like Bill and Brett sort of figured out what was going on, and everyone else is sort of panicked.
Yeah, Wanda June is the worst.
Oh, yeah, she ran out a couple of times, and she starts yelling,
Yeah.
"We made you!"
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, in dinner, Joe is placing money in the jukebox, and as he walks away, it explodes. This is where Wanda June loses it. She starts saying and then screaming, "You can't! We made you!" She goes outside screaming it. She's almost hit by a truck, but Emilio Estevez runs out to pull her just in time. Then the truck starts honking, and the lights turn off and on repeatedly in the truck stop. We get a scene that sort of reminds me of Shaun of the Dead, where they're all in the Winchester, but now they're just bored. This is broken up by hearing screams of Camp coming from the creek, so we know that he's not dead. Curtis wants to be a hero, and Connie says that some of the other strong men need to be the hero, but it turns out most of those guys are not willing to go out there. Emilio Estevez comes up to tell Curtis that they can't get to him from there. They'll need to think of a better plan. Outside in the dark, Deke finds another pipe, which the grate has mostly come loose, and he's able to pull this one enough to get it. We also see several more trucks on the way to the truck stop now.
Trucks are never going to let us out of there. I think that's what Wanda June might have said.
So we have Emilio Estevez and Curtis are now armed with weapons and rope. Emilio Estevez has a bazooka, and Curtis has a machine gun. Hendershot calls him crazy, and Connie wants to stop Curtis.
His new wife was saying, "Don't make me a widow on my wedding day, Curtis."
Yeah. So Emilio Estevez tells them that there's a pipe running under the showers in the creek, and they can use that to save Camp. As they go over there, they duck behind a car and wait for the right time. Why didn't that car come to life and kill them? I don't know. As they run across, "For Those About to Rock, We Salute You" plays by AC/DC. They set up the rope on the pipe shower so that they can lower themselves into the manhole, but eventually pull themselves back up later. As they crawl, they complain about the smell, and then a rat walks by Emilio Estevez, and he tells Curtis he's sending a friend his way. And if Jesse was in this episode, he would say that rats are our friends.
I thought that was a really good quote.
Yeah.
The rat in the pipe.
Yeah. Deke makes it through his pipe to find Camp, and when he does, he appears dead. But then Camp jumps up, grabs Deke's leg, and tells Deke if he doesn't pull him out of the ditch, that it'll kill him. Just then, Emilio and Curtis make it out, and Deke starts screaming for Emilio Estevez's help. The two of them run and declare Camp is dead, so now he's dead. A truck drives off the road into the ditch, and they're able to pull Deke free into the pipe right before the truck gets them. The truck crashes, and I would imagine it's now stuck. So what did it accomplish? Like if you're a sentient being now, and you're like, "I'm going to go kill these guys," but now you're stuck. That's a horrible existence.
But if you're an asset, so to speak,
yeah,
then you could be used. And if you're lost, then who cares? You're just an asset.
So it's like one mind controlling them all, you think?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just an asset.
If that was true,
of the whole.
Then why would they need to communicate? Oh, no, they're communicating with the humans through Morse code later. Okay, all right, I can go with that.
But if they're seen as an asset, you can lose one or two.
Yeah. So they make their way back over the shower, and Deke wants to know if his dad is alive, but Emilio doesn't want to tell him. And I think they want to make it to safety first before they tell him, so he's not distracted. We cut to Connie, who believes they're all dead, but Brett hasn't lost hope yet. When they start running across, Emilio gets out the bazooka and blows up one of the trucks. And the way he screams in excitement reminds me of the way Emilio acted in Young Guns just 2 years later. Because he's always like, ah! Screaming as he's killing people. It's such a good movie, man. Now inside, Deke asks about his father again, and Hendershot is an asshole in the way he delivers the news. Tough break, kid.
Course.
Your dad got hit by one of those big trucks out there.
Oh my gosh.
And Brett calls him out and being an asshole, and Emilio confirms that it is true. Deke starts to break down and cry. Emilio comforts him, asking him to stay strong. Brett goes over and slaps Hendershot, telling him he needs to learn a lesson in manners. And now we cut. It's daytime again.
I like this part because a caterpillar,
Yeah.
big excavator comes out, and I thought, oh crap, because I thought it would go right into the building, just end the humans in there.
But even
no,
worse than that,
it moves. It's clearing the broken truck out of the way.
Yeah. And then worse than that, it is accompanied by a military vehicle, which I'm calling a machine gun cart.
Has an automatic gun mounted on it.
Yeah. And they're approaching the Dixie Boy. The truck stopped to let in the two new vehicles. The excavator gets behind Hendershot's car, and we know this because the license says Bubba, and he's in the subtitles. It says his name is Bubba Hendershot, but he calls everybody else Bubba. So it's weird. Like if it'd be like you calling everybody else Steven if your name is Steven. It doesn't make sense. But anyway, we know it's his car, and he pushes his car into the Dixie Boy diner. Hendershot gets pissed about his car, and he gets the rocket launcher. Emilio tries to warn him, but Hendershot tells him to just shut up.
Maybe that Bubba on his license plate, that was because he just liked to use the word Bubba. That might have not been his name.
I know, but I swear the subtitles called him Bubba.
Oh, gosh.
Even not Hendershot. I don't know.
That is crazy.
After blowing up the escalator, the machine gun opens fire, killing Hendershot and 3 others in the process. Now Wanda June is pissed off.
She comes out and she says, "We made you again."
Yeah, right.
And yells at them. Of course, she's shot.
Yeah, we made you. Don't you understand? She gets shot by the machine gun cart. Then the rocket launcher goes off, blowing another 18-wheeler. Though no one ever reloaded the rocket launcher. Deke gets
But
up.
he had a lot of...
Yeah, but it only fits one rocket.
That he just grabbed another one from the storage, from his Christmas stocking.
Right. Deke gets up to look, and Emilio Estevez tells him to get down, but Deke says that the thing wants to waste them, it can. Then the military cart starts honking its horn to communicate in Morse code. Deke recognizes it because he has a merit badge in it.
Right, yeah, because it was just honking at first. But if Deke, the boy, wasn't there, he wouldn't have been able to tell everyone that.
Yeah, when they don't believe him, like they're like, bullshit, you don't know Morse code, but he starts writing it down. And he tells them that the trucks want them to fill them with gas. Joe says
pump fuel.
Yeah. Joe says they can't do it anyway because they don't have any power. And right then the power comes back on. Idiot.
They control the power.
Right. Bill runs saying that he's going to turn on the pumps. Brett comes after him saying that it's a bad idea. And he points to those 18-wheelers that drove in, that they would all fall through the floor into the basement and crash. But that gun cart could possibly call his fellow military vehicles over and order an airstrike. Brett tells him to be careful, and he says that if they were to run him down, it would be like a junkie killing his dealer, because he's the one providing the gas, right? So he goes over to the Green Goblin and tells him that he and his friends are going to get gas, and he's going to fill them all up. He goes to the pump. Brett is there. He tells her that it's going to be a long day. Then Hell's Bells by AC/DC starts playing, nice. And we see a ton of trucks coming out to the station. And Deke, Curtis, and Steve all help filling up the trucks in their own lines. We see it's over 100 degrees. We see that Andy goes out to take over for Brett's line. Milo Estevez lets them know when they run out of gas.
They're sort of just doing shift work, filling up all of these trucks.
There's still a massive line of trucks who are all now upset and act like they're going to run over Emilio Estevez, though he just stands there like he doesn't care. It then starts to push Emilio, and this truck comes up, and it has more gas in it. So they're going to load the gas tanks so then they can load the gas.
It's a fuel tanker truck, and it came up, and they can basically fill up the tanks again and keep going.
Then Handy comes to relieve Emilio Estevez because he's all worn down. Emilio says that the machines don't understand what it's like to get tired. So he goes inside, and they have more stuff that they brought from the cellar, like the weapons and stuff. They say they could use the pipe, which was covered earlier, that Zeke couldn't get through to escape. The military cart comes over as if they've had enough of a break, and Handy tells Emilio that he needs to go inside and get some rest. And Brett runs over to help him in.
At some point, you might know the exact moment, but Bill and Brett, they've been kind of figuring out things as this progresses. And Bill has this suspicion that the comet is a broom to get rid of the inhabitants on the planet.
Yeah, it happens right
that's,
now.
That's crazy how he just came up with this out of the blue as the idea that the machines are malfunctioning based on the comet is what Brett had brought up earlier. And now it's because they're trying to rid the planet of its inhabitants.
Right. So Emilio Estevez goes to talk to someone named Rolf and tells him that they have a plan. Then it cuts to Steve, who's using wire cutters to cut the grate off of the pipe. Emilio and Rolf walk next to the military cart, and the gun starts to follow them. Then Bill tells the gun that they're just taking care of people stuff, and it wouldn't understand. Emilio then tells Rolf that when he says run, run. And Rolf is asking, what you gonna do? And Bill drops a grenade and spins the gun around, and then they run. It starts firing in a circle and then explodes.
There's an oxygen truck at some point. Did it hit the oxygen truck? And
it might have.
I think that's maybe what happened.
Then the characters cross underground to escape. As soon as they make it, the trucks start driving into the Dixie Boy. After the excavator goes into the building, it comes out and drives back and forth over Curtis and Connie's car. The trucks then level everything in sight, and the group decides it's time to run. The truck carrying oxygen sparks inside, and the area of the building explodes.
That's where it was.
Yeah.
Okay, so the machine gun truck then fired, and then the truck started destroying the building, and the oxygen truck was there, and the oxygen truck exploded. I also thought it was funny the ice cream truck is back here.
Oh, is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. We get back to the group when they're ducking behind another diner, and they're about a half a mile from the marina. And then the drive-through sign speaker starts saying on repeat, humans here, humans here, humans here. Every male in the group is armed with a machine gun, and young Deke goes up and shoots it. Right after that, he gives the gun to Brett. And then the ice cream truck drives up, and Curtis' gun jams, so Brett takes it out. The group is now at the marina and discusses what boat to take. And a man named Brad sees a dead woman in a car who looks like she's been choked to death by her window, trapping her head and her arm outside. That woman has a massive wedding ring on, and Brad needs to have it. And then we see Brett worrying where Brad is, and we see that Brad is with the ring in his hand, and as the camera pans up, we see that the goblin is right behind him watching him. It starts up, and Brad stands there and screams instead of jumping out of the way, and is killed. Emilio runs up with a rocket launcher and kills Goblin finally. And Who Made Who plays again as they sail away. Deke asks if everything is going to be all right, and Emilio Estevez assures him that it is. Then we get more yellow text that saying the following. 2 days later, a large UFO was destroyed in space by a Russian weather satellite, which happens to be equipped with a laser cannon and Class 4 nuclear missiles. Approximately 6 days later, the Earth passed beyond the tail of Rhea M. Exactly as predicted, the survivors of the Dixie Boy are still survivors. Connie then takes one last time to complain about something. She wants to get off the boat because she's getting seasick.
Oh my gosh. So at this point, it was like the bikes were malfunctioning, some of them. And some of the machines and equipment were malfunctioning.
Luckily, the boats did not.
They're on a sailboat. Now, wait. There's no
electronics,
engine or electronics on it. But then that doesn't explain, the machine gun was rolling around and shooting, but it looked like the way that it was mounted on that military vehicle, there's no motorized mechanism or hydraulic system to move the machine gun. It was supposed to be a manned machine gun, but it was swirling on its own. So I was wondering, why are they safe on the sailboat? The sails could have gone up and down and swung back and forth. It just, maybe it was me, but I saw that as sort of a gap or a flaw here at the end.
Right. And then at the end, You Shook Me All Night Long, also by AC/DC.
Nice.
Yeah. So it was a fun movie.
It was fun.
Yeah, I mean, it's silly. I loved it as a kid. My dad's like, that's not a horror movie. But I was like, Do you know the body count is massive in this movie? People are getting crushed by their own cars. Like freaking meat carvers are coming after them like Evil did. A dog is killed by a toy. Some of that's horrific. That's graphic.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's by Stephen King.
It's a scary semi-truck movie.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they are also others. Well, Steven Spielberg's first movie before E.T. and everything was about a semi-truck that was coming after a guy on the road and kept trying to kill him. And that's terrifying. So, yeah. But I'm glad we did it. I look forward to doing more Stephen King in the future. I want to do Doctor Sleep because that's a really good one. But I want to own both the director's cut and the theatrical cut because I want to compare the two when we do it. And it's hard to find both of them on physical media. That's one thing I want to do in the future. But there's a lot of Stephen King properties out there. But yeah. But anything else you want to say about it?
My two favorite trucks were the Green Goblin, of course, and also the Mac with the red eyes.
Yeah.
Those are cool.
Yeah.
I'm not going to compare them to Michael Myers or anything, but I thought they were pretty gruesome, and the Green Goblin did some pretty gruesome deaths.
All right. Well, thank you for being here, Steven.
Thanks. It was a pleasure. I can't wait till next time.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for listening. If you'd like to follow us on social media, we are on Instagram. We are at Nightmare Echoes Pod. And hope you listen to us. We have new episodes every Monday. Bye.
Bye.